The downside of us being led by our automatic system means we're led by our biases. These include anchoring. Anchoring is when people see a number, they're biased towards that initial number. For example, is the population of Chicago more or less than 5 million? Now, think of your answer. What if I would have asked this instead? Is the population of Chicago more or less than 500,000? Studies show that people who were asked the question with 5 million responded with a higher number than the people who were asked the question with 500,000. Loss aversion. We strongly prefer avoiding losses than making gains, doubly so in fact. This is the reason companies often give away their products, like free samples, etc., so the consumer won't want to lose it when they have to make a purchasing decision. Framing. Basically, the way that a situation is phrased can have an effect on people's thinking. For example, all 600 people in a town are expected to die of a type of flu if you do nothing. You have two options. With the first, 200 people in the town will be saved. With the second, there's a 1/3 probability that 600 people will be saved, and a 2/3 probability that no people will be saved. In a study, 72% of the subjects picked the first option. Now consider the same scenario worded differently. 400 people in the town will die, or there's a 1/3 probability that nobody will die, and a 2/3 probability that 600 people will die. 78% of the subjects picked the second option in this case, even though it was the same situation as the first time round. Social pressures. We all like to think we're individual, but we also love to jump on a bandwagon. We have a pull towards conformity. See the milligram experiment. In psychological experiments, it's been proved that if 7 people are in a room with one person, then they can change the single person's mind on something which is scientifically correct and obvious. But how can our knowledge of nudge theory be used to persuade people to do good things, such as save money, exercise, stay safe, save time, or eat healthy? Or to put it another way, how do you put Spock back in control when Homer has the upper hand? There are a number of incentives which can be used to beat the biases. Simplify for Homer, improving our ability to map and select options that will make us better off. What are the options? What do they really mean? For example, rather than our electricity meter saying we used 11,155 kilowatt hours, it could say we've spent £30 on electricity. This makes it easier to understand for our automatic system. Don't let Homer do nothing. We need to be made aware of what happens if we do nothing. Because of inertia and because of the status quo bias, many people, when confronted with options, will do precisely that. Nothing. For example, this can work to an advantage in organ donation if people have to opt out rather than opt in. Congratulate Homer. We need to set up our own feedback systems. How can people know things are going wrong? Better still, how can they know things are about to go wrong? For example, fitness trackers tell us how many steps we've taken and how many calories we've burnt today. Expecting errors from Homer. This uses errors as part of the learning process. By knowing what can go wrong, we can build in measures to prevent this from happening. For example, pedestrian crossings in tourist destinations like London have unavoidable "look right" slogans on the side of the pavement. In many school cafeterias in Europe now, the healthier food is placed at eye level and is easier to reach than the junk food. This alters individuals' behaviour. They might pick the fruit and veg, even though they are still free to choose the chips. Perhaps the most compelling early evidence that nudge theory has become a very significant concept for managing change is that governments, notably the US and UK, very quickly developed specialised nudge departments to use methods in helping to shift society.